Hello and welcome to this Warhammer 40k 7th edition review with me, Xenovids. So me and my buddy Ian, who you may recognise from all my battle reports, have gone through this rulebook with a fine tooth comb, and we think we found quite a few changes to the rules, essentially. So 6th edition is now over, 7th edition is here. What has changed? First big change is the psychic phase. Now this has completely been added in and is brand new. So in the psychic phase, player rolls d6 and you get the amount on the dice. So say if it's a 3, you put that dice to one side. Then you add up all the mastery levels of all your psychers, and whatever the dice number and all your psychers mastery level is how many dice you have in the psychic pool. So that's how many dice you can use to do psychic powers. Your opponent gets dice equal to the die that was rolled. So if you rolled a 3, your opponent gets 3 dice. And then they can use that for deny the witch rolls in the psychic phase. So there's a special rule called psychic focus. Now psychic focus basically means if your psyker knows psychic powers from one discipline, then you automatically get the Primaris power for free. So if you have a psyker level, mastery level 3, and it can learn things from divination and telepathy, if you give it 2 from divination and 1 from telepathy, you just have those ones. But if you did all 3 from divination, you then get the Primaris for free, which is quite nice. So basically most psychers get the Primaris if you're not going to mix and match, which is nice. To do a psychic power, you have to roll a 4-up on a dice, and each psychic ability has different warp charge numbers. So if a warp charge of a 1 is needed, you need to roll 1 4-up. If it's a warp charge 2, you need to roll 2 4-ups, so on and so forth. And what you have dice-wise in your psychic pool, you can use. If you roll double 6s, you perils, and most of the time you're going to either lose a wound or die. Perils is quite devastating in that sense, but you know, it's random, it's good. We've talked about the psychic phase, me and Ian, and we do like it a lot. However, it seems you have to do all the psychic powers in the psychic phase. So this is going to change force weapons. If a model has a force weapon, they then have the force special psychic power, which is a warp charge 1, and basically activates their weapon, making it have the instant death special rule. If you don't do this in your psychic phase, then technically the force weapon hasn't been activated. So it's just the characteristics it has, say strength 4, AP 4, force unworldly. If you haven't activated, it's just an AP4 weapon, it doesn't have instant death, from what we can see. So that is Psychic Focus. You get the Primaris power for free. Blessings, obviously target your own units. Conjuration is new. You get to conjure up things. Demons have it. They can create demons and various other things. Denying the Witch is slightly changed because you still have to roll a 6-up, and there are modifiers, such as if you're a psyker you get a +1 to your Deny the Witch. But now you can deny the witch on psychic abilities and powers that do not affect your units. So you can do a Deny the Witch if your opponent is doing a blessing now as well, to try and stop them from buffing up their unit with Biomancy, for example, or activating the force weapon in their psychic base. So you can deny the witch for that, which is great. You can deny the witch on anything now, which kind of helps out Tau and Necrons and stuff like that, because all they've got is deny the witch. Witchfire. Witchfire is slightly changed. Witchfire is pretty awesome as well. Now, say you have a sorcerer, and it knows 2 different Witchfire psychic abilities, and they're Warp Charge 1. You can fire the first one. You can then fire the second one. There is no limit to how many Witchfire shots you take. Now, because this is done in the psychic phase and not counted as actually shooting a weapon, you can then run with your unit or shoot with your unit as well. So you get extra shooty ability with your Psyker, and it doesn't have any bad detrimental things. So Witchfires are pretty cool. And also you have something called a focused Witchfire. So if you shoot your Witchfire, say it's an Strength 8 AP1 Melter or Strength 10 AP1 Melter, which I think Pyromancy number 6 psychic power is, you fire at that unit, and if the total number of Warp Charge points harnessed exceeds the Warp Charge cost required to manifest the psychic power, the power is resolved against the model you choose. So, say it's a Warp Charge 1 and you roll 2 dice and they both go off. You've essentially got 2 Warp Charges for a Warp Charge 1. You now can go, right, it's like a precision shot. The Melter is the one that in that unit that I kill, or the squad leader is the one I kill. So Witchfire is quite deadly now. That's pretty much it for the psychic disciplines. As I've already talked about the psychic stuff in a previous video. Everything looks like is done in the psychic phase. Deny the Witch has got a little bit better, and there are various buffs. The psychic powers themselves, I've also done a video on. Please check that out. And I think demons with their malefic psychic powers are the ones that got a real buff for psychic powers. Adding in the psychic phase, I think, is a little tweak, and it's brilliant because it just brings everything together. Okay, so movement, shooting and assault seem to pretty much be all the same. Unfortunately, you can't, as one of the rumours said, consolidate or sweeping advance into another unit and assault that unit, like I think was in 4th edition, it might have been. That's not happening, and snap firing still on 6s, so that's not changed either. Okay, so Jink. I'm going to talk about it in regards to flying monstrous creatures, and Jink in regard to a model that has Jink, such a jet bike or a vehicle, has slightly changed from the reading here. Now it says in the special rules for flying monstrous creatures, in addition to the special rules that all monstrous creatures have, flying monstrous creatures also have the Jink and Vector Strike special rule. Now if a model has Jink, you have to declare if the model is jinking, basically I think before hits are made or whatever. Then you get a 4-up save, and that's all it says. You get a 4-up save and then you snap fire with all your weapons. So a flying monstrous creature, it states, has Jink. So a flying monstrous creature, it's great. So I'm sure wings makes it wings for a flying monster makes it a flying monstrous creature. It may make it a jump monstrous creature, but I think if it's a flying monstrous creature, so a winged hive tyrant, for example, has Jink. Awesome, that is pretty good. Grounding tests have also changed. If a flying monstrous creature that is swooping suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds during any phase, it must take a grounding test at the end of the phase. So now, instead of if it's hit, it's any unsaved wounds, then you take a grounding test. And on a 3-up, it passes. On a 1 or a 2, pretty much happens the same. You strength 9, wound, no saves allowed. But now, marker lights, that's the silly thing where any hits, you have to do a grounding test, and a Tau player could go, I'm hitting you with a marker light. I can't harm you or wound you, but I've hit you with that marker light. Now you have a grounding test, oh you fail, and now you're grounded and you have a marker light. Now it's unsaved wounds, then you're grounded. So that is better. I like that. Okay, I'm not going to talk about gargantuan creatures or anything like that because I don't have any and I don't play those rules, so I'm going to brush over them. But in regards to vehicles, I noticed something when it comes to blast weapons. Now, when firing a blast weapon at a vehicle, place the marker with the hole over any part of the vehicle's hull. Now, the armour penetration roll is resolved against the armour value facing the firer regardless of the position of the marker. So, what it was in the previous edition, blasts against vehicles were done against side armour. Now, it's whatever position of the vehicle is facing you. So if you fire a blast weapon from a model that's facing the front of the vehicle, it's done there. But if you're doing it from behind, it's done from the rear. It's no longer just at the side for the blast weapons. So I think that's a little change as well. So that's that one. Okay, so I've already gone through the vehicle damage table in my previous video. On a rough overview, 1 to 3 is crew shaken, 4 is crew stunned, 5 weapon destroyed, 6 immobilised, 7 plus it explodes. Now obviously to get that you need to do an AP1 or AP2 shot and various benefits to that. So AP2 weapons, you +1 to the modifier. AP1 plus is 2. Obviously if it's an open top, that plus is 1 as well. So vehicles got a little bit more survivable, like I've said in a previous video. So now you have to roll a 6 or a 5 and have an AP1 weapon to destroy the vehicle. If you rolled a 4, it doesn't wreck it or destroy it because a 6 now is immobilised. So vehicles, I think, have got a bit of a buff. Okay, so a little bit about transports, which I think is new. I don't think this was in the previous edition, but a little bit about the effects of damage on passengers for transport vehicles. If a transport is destroyed by a shooting attack, any unit that shot it that turn can, if allowed, charge the now disembarked passengers. Awesome. So, if you have a dreadnought and he's next to a rhino full of corn berserkers, and your dreadnought has a multi-melter and it shot the rhino, destroys the rhino, the corn berserkers come out, now the dreadnought can assault the corn berserkers that come out. Brilliant. I like it, it makes sense to me. But tell me what you think about that one, because a few people I've spoken to have said, well, that's not fair. You shot the tank, not the people on the inside. The tank is a different unit, it's just a transport. So that's not fair. But I think it's good because you're aiming to take that lot down. So, a little bit of a change there. Okay, Chariots. A few changes to the Chariots. Are very different and interesting. So, a rider cannot disembark from his chariot. Full stop. If either the rider is reduced to 0 wounds or his chariot is destroyed, then the entire model is removed as a casualty. So, Necron Overlord in his chariot, command barge, he cannot get out now. That is one in the same now, he can't get out. However, if the rider has a special rule that returns it to play, such as the Necron's Ever Living special rule, and that you make the roll, that model's chariot is also returned to play with a single hull point. So your Necron chariot can come back with your Overlord, which is amazing and awesome for you Necrons players out there, and a little bit cheesy. What it doesn't state though is if you destroy the weapons of the command barge, because I'm sure it has like a Tesla weapon on it, if you destroy that, say turn 2, then turn 3 you destroy the actual Catacomb command barge. The Necron player then rolls a 5 and it comes back. Does it get the weapon back? Or because the weapon was destroyed, is it no longer able to use that as well? It doesn't state in here. Please comment about what you think it would be. What else? When shooting at a chariot, the player controlling the chariot unit then allocates each hit either to the rider or to the chariot of the closest model in the unit. So, from the reading of that, if you shoot a melter at the unit, normally melter within half range, you can do the special melter rule where it's 2d6, which normally takes down vehicles. The guy who owns the chariot can be like, well, I'm going to take it against my overlord with his 2-up armor save and 3-up invulnerable. So that it's going to be more survivable again. So the chariot, the player controlling the chariot can decide what shots are going to be going against the chariot and what's against the overlord. So he's got more options to play around with. It's a little bit cheeky, I think. Oh, those in a chariot can also be challenged now, and which is good. And they keep the D6 Hammer of Wrath, Strength 6 AP dash as well. So chariots, yeah. Chariots are awesome. Okay, talking about Jink now. Those changes that I said to Jink. It states in here, Jink. When a unit with any model with the Jink special rule is selected as a target for a shooting attack, you may declare that it will Jink. The decision must be made before any to hit rolls have been made. If the unit jinks, all models in the unit with this special rule gain a 4-up cover save until the start of their next movement phase, but they can only fire snapshots until the end of their next turn. Okay. Okay. So Jink has changed. So skimmers that are not also heavy vehicles have the Jink special rule. So now instead of moving the skimmer and automatically getting a 5-up Jink, or flat out getting a 4-up Jink, now you decide just before you're being shot at to Jink. Just like, okay, I will Jink now, I have a 4-up cover save. For Elder and Tower players who can +1 to that with disruption pods or what is it, hollow fields, they then have a 3-up Jink apparently. And if it's night fighting or whatever, you can get a 2-up essentially, it looks like. So Jink has changed. You get a 4-up cover save until the next movement phase, but they can only fire snapshots until the end of that next turn. So Jink is always a 4-up across the board, and made it a little bit simpler. But if you do Jink, you're only snap shooting, which does make sense because you're being shot at and it's like whoa, 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 and you're trying to shoot. It's going to make sense. So Jink has changed. So anything with Jink, jet bikes, skimmers, flyers can do that evade, which is a Jink, isn't it? I think. Flying monstrous creatures apparently now have Jink. So that is what Jink is now. Bound and unbound, I've also talked about. A bound army, if you have a bound army, which is the standard force organisation chart, you get to re-roll your Warlord Traits. You also get an ability where all of your troops can capture objectives. If an unbound army's troops are near the objectives and you're both within the radius of the objective, you get it, not your opponent. There is no restriction to bound armies though, so I don't think tournaments would have unbound armies even, but they look like they are a bit of fun, and it makes sense for the new hobbyists. If you sit down and think, if your son or younger brother, whoever's doing it, has bought the box set, the Orc Megaforce box set, or a Megaforce box set, and you have a couple of troops, a transport, and maybe 3 bikes, for example, that's not a legal army technically, but you could just say, right, I have 300 to 400 points, these are the models I've got, can I battle you? Well, they can now because it's an unbound army. So it allows those that don't have the money necessarily to buy a huge army at once, to just have some fun and see how effective these units are. So it's not bad. Okay, so looking at the Warlord traits, before I think it was personal, command traits and strategic. There seems to be a tactical trait now. So tactical traits, D6. Number 1. Whilst your warlord is alive, you can discard up to 2 active tactical objectives at the end of your turn instead of only 1. So automatically it looks like tactical traits are great if you're doing one of the new missions. Number 2. Master of Interference. One use only. Declare your warlord is using this ability at the end of one of your turns. Your opponent must randomly select one of his active tactical objectives and immediately discard it. 3. Well prepared. Generate 1 additional tactical objective on your first turn. 4. Forward planning. After generating tactical objectives on your first turn, you can immediately choose to use this Warlord trait. If you do so, discard all of your active tactical objectives and generate a new tactical objective for each one that was discarded. So you get to reset essentially what you got. 5 is Master of Fate. Whilst your warlord is alive, you can re-roll the dice when determining how many victory points are awarded for the tactical objective that award a random number for victory points scored. And 6 is lead by example. Any secure objective X, tactical objective where X is a number between 1 and 6, that is scored because your warlord or his unit controls that objective, you score 1 additional victory point. Tactical objectives then are for the new missions. Command traits. 1 is Inspiring Presence. Friendly units within 12 inches of the warlord use his leadership. 2. Intimidating Presence. Enemy units within 12 inches of the warlord must use their lowest leadership value, not the highest. 3. The Dust of 1,000 Worlds. Your warlord and all friendly units within 12 inches have the Move Through Cover special rule. 4. Master of the Vanguard. Your warlord and all friendly units within 12 inches add 1 inch to the distance they can move when they run or charge. It's not bad, that one. 5. Target Priority. In the shooting phase, your warlord and all friendly units within 12 inches of him re-roll to hit rolls for 1. 6. Coordinated Assault. In the assault phase, your warlord and all friendly units within 12 inches of him re-roll to hit rolls of 1. That is amazing. That is the best command trait that you could possibly have. Personal traits, D6. 1 is Master of Defense. Your warlord has Counter-Attack. 2. Master of Offense. Your warlord has Furious Charge. 3. Master of Maneuver. Your warlord has the Outflank special rule. 4. Legendary Fighter. Your army gains 1 victory point for each enemy character slain by your warlord. 5. Tenacity. Your warlord has the Feel No Pain special rule. Awesome. Immovable Object. Your warlord has the Fearless and it will not die special rules. Strategic traits. Number 1. Conqueror of Cities. Your units have the Move Through Cover special rule if moving through ruins and have the Stealth Ruin special rule. Number 2 is Night Attacker. You have night vision. You choose if it's night fighting in your game. It is night fighting on the first turn, and all the models in your army have night vision. Awesome. I'm pretty sure that wasn't there before. I thought it was in the previous one. You choose if it's night fighting. Now it can be night fighting and you have night vision. Wicked. Wicked. That is amazing. Master of Ambush is number 3. Your warlord and 3 non-vehicle units have the Infiltrate special rule. 4. Strategic Genius. You add +1 to any Seize the Initiative roll. In addition, whilst your warlord is alive, you can reroll any reserve rolls. That's awesome. +1 to steal the initiative. How many times have you played those games where it's like, I need to go first and I haven't done it. Divide to Conquer. Whilst your warlord is alive, your opponent has a -1 modifier to their reserve roll. And 6. At the start of your opponent's first turn, pick 3 units in the enemy army. Each of these units must take a pinning test. Brilliant. Stop those long fangs or big assaulty things. Pin them. They can't shoot in the first turn. Awesome sauce. Allies. Everything can ally with itself. Any army can ally with another army, but obviously there'll be Battle Brothers, Allies of Convenience, Desperate Allies, or Come the Apocalypse. The only thing is you can't deploy within a certain inches within each other, close to each other. Eternal War mission table, I think they're the same. Maelstrom of War mission table, they're new missions and they involve the new tactical objectives table. And there's a D66, so it's 11 to 66, and all they have is things like score 1 victory point if you hold this objective, or score 1 victory point if you control objective 4 at the end of your turn, so you get points each turn. So you are going to have to be calculating all these points. Hugely objective based now for 40k, hugely objective based, or you can go to the 6 missions we previously had, which is quite cool. The layouts of the tables, so Dawn of War, Hammer and Anvil, are exactly the same, and yeah, so the new missions seem to be essentially random objectives, so it adds a little bit of flavour to it if you want to do that. Okay, so I've had a quick glance through the Universal Special Rules. I can't see anything really that's changed at all, but if you see anything in your rulebook, please comment down below about that. After that, it talks about, in the appendix, grenades, Shrine of Aquila, manufacturer and all that. I can't see anything in here though about Aegis defense lines. I could be just not seeing it at all. Like it's got battlefield terrain, like Shrines of Aquila, everything like that, but I just can't see anything to do with like Aegis defense lines. And I'm going to the index and I can't see the Aegis defense line there, or anything like that. So please let me know if you can find Aegis defense lines in this rulebook. I've already gone for all the psychic powers in a previous video, and yeah, I still think Malefic is horribly powerful. You can conjure up loads of demons essentially. So yeah, and then we get to the end of the book. So yeah, what do I think about the rulebook? Is it Warhammer 40k 6.5 or is it Warhammer 40k 7th edition? My buddy Ian thinks it's 6.5. I would tend to say it's probably makes it for me a 7th edition. It's been less than 2 years, which is horrible because they're taking our money, obviously, which is a bit unfair. But what you get for 7th edition is tweaks to the psychic powers. You get a whole psychic phase now, which is brand new to 40k. I don't think it's ever happened. And it is very similar to fantasy though, how the magic phase and stuff is in fantasy. So movement happens, psychic phase, shooting, assault, stuff like that. The Warlord traits have slightly changed, it looks like. Some of the psychic powers have slightly changed. Jink has changed completely. Flying monstrous creatures grounding test has changed. It also includes in here things against all the big super titans and everything like that. So let me know if you think it's 7th edition or 6.5. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Xenovid. Please comment, share, subscribe and like, and I will see you on my next video!